join in the group. I pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Any additions to the agenda? Okay, seeing none, I have a motion to approve the agenda. Second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We'll move on. Student outcomes. Update discussion, district board and student outcomes. Luken?
Yeah, I'll kind of take both of them at once, but first, obviously we've been working on public communications on our goals. We've had multiple meetings. We'll continue through about the middle of February, working on that. As far as the other initiatives, we're working on monitoring calendars, and leagues have been set up by the end of February to get through all those other initiatives. In your February meeting, you'll have your self-evaluation, and we'll be able to gauge our progress and keep working towards the implementation of those goals. Obviously, you were all there for your guardrails meeting yesterday, and I mean, I'm open to any thoughts you had, but I thought you guys, it was really, I would say, enjoyable for me to hear your thoughts and to be able to get that type of feedback, so I appreciate that.
Okay. Any questions on that? Okay. We'll move then to the approval of the consent agenda, which would be approval of the board meetings of December, approval of the payment of bills, notice of intent of negotiating by the Harvey Education Association, a second reading of the following policy. I would entertain a motion to a consent agenda.
I'll move through the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion on any of the items?
I request to pull DDA.
Which one?
DDA.
DDA has been requested to be pulled. Anything else? Anything else? Okay. I do. Got it, Nick. Still helping my students. Okay, so anything else requested to be pulled? Okay, so therefore, we'll move to a consent agenda with the exception of DDA. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, now we'll go to DDA.
Okay, first can I just make one comment? Dana was brought to my attention that the bills aren't posted. That needs to happen. Everyone. The DDA, we may want to visit this later, but I think that should go back to committee. I think that's going to become apparent later in our meeting. I just think there's holes in that policy or things that need to be addressed. And I don't know how I really want to go into it right now.
So you're making a motion to table DDA?
Send it back to committee.
Okay, so motion, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, been properly moved second that we move DDA back to committee. It's been seconded. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor of moving DDA back to committee, is that?
Aye.
Okay. All right, now we're going to get to board approval by the board president, and so I've been working on this pretty intensely here, so. Did we? All in favor, say aye? Wait, no, we did that.
Refer to committee.
Refer to committee.
Just that one, but we have to approve the consent.
We did. We did. Am I good? Am I good? Okay, all right. Okay, so, we're now going to go to the, I have my own notes also. As the board knows, we moved to hire Dr. Paul Stremick as a neutral third-party investigator to look into the complaint brought by Dr. Harding against Dr. Luken. Dr. Stremick completed his investigation and submitted his report on December 20th. Board members have received a copy for that review. Okay, I have spent 2 weeks preparing for this presentation and trying to be fair to both sides, which is the reason I suggested a third party proceed over this grievance from the start, as I felt we needed a neutral view. I was simply following the recommendation of our lawyer to release the grievance through open records, North Dakota Century Code 15.1/07.25, School District Records Open Exception. I had no intention of telling the story. I was only following which in my heart was the correct protocol. We are a free country of speech, and how it's interpreted by others is their choice. This morning, we had a very disruptive call on our young business manager, and I really respect him and trying to help them with no sensitivity, and I find this very troublesome. I also received a letter of concern about the fairness of this grievance process. It was emailed to me at 2:52, which I did not open until 3:30 as I was subbing in the Harvey High School today. As I have not had proper time to digest this, I am going to pass this to the board members to read before we go on to discussion on this matter. Before issuing this letter, I need to point out this discussion on this matter is not a grievance about Dr. Harding. It is a grievance brought by Dr. Harding. Okay, so I'm going to pass this to my four board members, and I'm going to give them 3 to 5 minutes to read this. And then before we proceed, we will go on to the next topic. We will do that. In all fairness, this needs to be presented in all fairness. Has everybody had a chance to fairly read this? Okay, and I respectfully request these issues be formally acknowledged and addressed, and I think I did that by allowing you to do that. Okay, so I'm open. What are the board's wishes to how we move forward? With the grievance, what are your wishes? How we move forward? Table it? Do we move on? What do we do?
What are the procedures?
It's up to the board. It's up to the board what they wish to do. They've read this letter. You have acknowledged and addressed it. It's your decision to to hold the voting back or to move ahead as proceeded. That is your decision as a board. Not my decision, as a decision of the board, whether we do with this.
So my understanding was that you had prepared
I'm prepared to deal with the grievance. I'm prepared to deal with the grievance. You
I'll
want to
make
move
a
ahead?
motion that we proceed forward.
Okay, so probably move to proceed forward. I want to make a point that I acknowledge this request, okay? So a movement to proceed forward, and I hear a second on that?
Second.
Okay, probably move second and we proceed forward. Okay, all in favor? Okay, so let's go, everybody. Yep,
Just a quick
all
question.
in favor? Yep.
So moving forward is just like,
We're going to talk about the grievance, and we are going to tell me what, we're just going to talk about it, and I'm going to bring forth the recommendations by him, and then you're going to either agree or disagree. Okay? Okay? All right, and I'm going to do this. Okay, I need to back up just a tish though. First of all, from the reading, okay, from the report, Dr. Stremick did not find that discrimination or harassment occurred as alleged. Dr. Stremick also did not substantiate some other allegations. He did, though, substantiate that Dr. Luken failed to follow state law requirements concerning evaluation of principal and failed to comply with school procedure on teaching and other assignments. As Dr. Stremick correctly explained in the report, he has no authority to make decisions, since the board is tasked with evaluating and disciplining and otherwise providing directives to the superintendent. And in front of you, we're going to review the complaint, which you've all had a chance to read. You've all got that on. I issued to all of you on December 26th. It states, as a result, the board is now tasked with whether to issue any directives to Dr. Luken or issue any level of discipline, which now will be done by the board. And again, I'm going to reiterate this. This is not one against Dr. Harding. It is a grievance brought by Dr. Harding. Okay? All right, so we're going to start. Everybody, let's all turn to page 7 on the recommendations. Okay? And on the first recommendation, it says, it's recommended that these issues be noted in his evaluation. I also believe the school board should revisit the policy procedure to determine who is ultimately responsible for the decision and what process should be followed when he is out of contract. Now, it was up to me to read this whole thing, and I know how I'm kind of a guy up one thing like this, so we're going to take one paragraph at a time. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about, I believe that the school district should revisit, it's my recommendation, this is Dr. Stremick's recommendation that the issue be noted in evaluation. I also believe the school board should visit this policy to determine who is responsible for the decision and what process should be followed when someone is off contract. So I'm looking for a motion or no motion on this issue. If there is no concern, we'll move on to the next one. Go ahead.
I move we go forward with that recommendation.
Okay, with the whole thing? So, Zane, you have it, right?
Is this it?
Yeah, we are on page 7.
This paragraph, right?
Is that the bottom one?
You're moving to go
I believe the school,
forward with the bottom paragraph on page 7?
yeah. Based on this finding determination, Dr. Luken has failed to comply with district procedures on teaching. It is my recommendation these should be noted as evaluation. I also believe the school board should review this policy to determine who is ultimately responsible for the decision and what process should be followed when someone is off contract.
So, I don't know if you need a second or something first, but those are two separate issues.
I know. So what was the motion?
The motion was to accept the recommendation in the first paragraph, the first recommendation paragraph, the one you just read.
Okay.
I'll
Is there-
second that, so we can talk about it.
Okay, there's a second. Let's talk about that recommendation. Vanessa, go ahead.
I completely agree that it should be noted in his evaluation. However, that last sentence about the school board should revisit this policy and procedure to determine who is ultimately responsible, we did that. And Dr. Luken's most certainly disregarded what we did last spring. That was already done, and I pointed it out last summer. We worked into the principals so that they would have flexibility to come in over the summer to board meetings or to situations like this. And so, it's, because he kind of took Dr. Luken's off the hook on this because of that, and that is not right. Because that was supposed to be Dr. Harding's job. She tried to do that, and I think that should be beyond putting it in as evaluation. I think it should be a letter of reprimand. Because we already did that last sentence. We already made it so principals could. And I told them that.
Does anybody else have discussion on this matter?
Or do we want to, I mean, we could strike the last sentence,
You
or
could do that. You've been taught how to do that.
say, well, I move that we amend the motion by striking the last sentence of the paragraph.
Okay?
Does that make
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded that we strike the last paragraph of the sentence, which would, I believe that to revisit the policy, who is responsible for the decision, what process should be followed. So basically, the motion says, based on the findings, that the district is recommended noted on his evaluation. And I want to just tell you how this would work. According to my lawyer, what we would do, if it's noted on his evaluation, is it would be in official minutes today, and then when the evaluation comes, the second evaluation comes, it would be my duty to put that on his evaluation for the second reading, on the second evaluation.
Like just a footnote,
No, it would be, well, it would be in there as a, that's what the lawyer said to do. Okay? All right, any more discussion on that? Okay, so first we're going to motion just to strike the amendment. Any discussion, discussion, discussion. All in favor of striking the amendment, of striking the second sentence, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, now we're going to vote on whether or not we need to put in his record that he complied with district proceedings and needs to be noted in his record. Any discussion? Dan, you good with the motion? Discussion, discussion. All those in favor, please say aye.
What's the motion?
That we will, the recommendation be noted in his evaluation. Okay, be noted in his evaluation.
okay.
Yep, it will be written in his evaluation.
Which issues exactly? This is the one.
It is the one where he complied with district proceedings on
On the teaching assignment.
Yep.
Or the, yeah,
okay? All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Okay, now, you want to want another motion before we move on?
Let's keep going.
Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about is the second paragraph. Okay, so based on the findings and determinations, Dr. Luken has failed to comply with state law and evaluation of principles. It is my recommendation he be required to review and confirm understanding and be directed to fully comply with the moving forward. This should be noted, and the director should be monitored, and any failure to comply with this law should be result in written reprimand.
I would move to proceed with that recommendation as well, the full paragraph.
Okay, second. Second. Okay, probably moved and seconded. Discussion.
Again, I want to clarify
Okay.
what we're doing wrong here.
Okay?
Failure going forward or the current?
If it happens again, he's saying, if it happens again, then that should be noted and director should be monitored, and any failure should be relevant and written. If he fails to do that, which I don't think will ever happen, I don't think will ever happen again.
Along with an order to timing.
This is
Yes.
about failing to comply on the evaluation of principles.
And
And I think it was a misunderstanding he had on his part, but I could be wrong, and I'm not going to talk for him. But all I'm saying is, if he does it again, then we will write him up. That's what it's saying. That's what the motion is saying. Any more discussion? Any more discussion? Any more discussion? All in favor of doing that, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the motion reads then, if you fail to comply with evaluating his principles again, it will be written up. Okay, now, This next one's going to get a little hairy. Regarding the apparent tension and poor communication between Dr. Luken and Dr. Harding, is considering their working relationship is strained. This likely negatively impacts district operations. It is my opinion that Dr. Harding has been insubordinate at times. Again, his opinion. Though it is my opinion that Dr. Luken should communicate more clearly and concisely that his use of AI may be complicating Dr. Harding's needs. All right, so what do you guys think about his use of AI complicating Dr. Harding's needs? You think it's an issue?
Well, I don't see really much of like a recommended action to take in this.
Yeah, there isn't.
No,
I
we
think
have,
I wouldn't recommend any formal action. I guess like my response to something like this would be that we need to have good communication within our organization. We need to work together as colleagues, even in differences. I'd really like to see that going forward. Yeah, like if the communication needs work, I think that let's work on it. I don't think anybody, there's really no action to be recommended here, but that would be like my first thought is like, things get rough sometimes and complicated and, we have disagreements, but let's just remember that at the end of the day, we're all colleagues here in the building, and so all I want is us to move forward in conducting the business of its school district and doing so in a respectful, responsible manner, and even if we have our differences. That's what I would have to say about that, I guess.
So for Dr. Sherman to say that he considers Dr. Harding insubordinate is obnoxious, in my opinion.
we're not going to make that into motion, so.
I think
That's not what I'm asking. That's just his opinion, as I said. So, but my point is, my question is to you, if you need to answer me, is AI something we need to address, how he's communicating?
and this is not about Dr.
No,
Harding.
I want to know how AI is affecting how he's communicating with his principal. And I need to know that answer.
I would limit the use of AI, and I'd use your own.
Okay, well then, if you're going to limit the use, I would request a motion. You have it on your agenda. We need to go into executive session if we're going to talk about that. I'm sorry, but that's the way it is. That's the law. So if you're going to limit his use, we are going to. Where's the agenda?
Well, I wouldn't even say like a form. Like I would just say it'd be like my recommendation. Like just as a person, like I think AI is a very constructive tool and can have a lot of very good use. But when it's in verbal or written communication to other people, it's ChatGPT is not a great speaker. It's great at helping get ideas out. And so it's like, would I use that to communicate with like my colleagues? Maybe not. Would I use it in other circumstances? Sure. So I just think it's like use good judgment there. I don't think we need to like.
Have a motion?
I don't think we need to have like.
I'll make a motion to go into executive
Okay.
session.
Could you read that, Vanessa, please? It's on the agenda. It's on the agenda. I'm sorry, but that's the law. That's the law.
According to NBCC 44-04-19.2 and 44-04-18.1.
Second.
Okay, I'm sorry, everyone. You're going to have to leave the room. Please turn off your recorder. That's a purpose for the